Alright, hey guys, finally back with another video. Sorry, I've been super busy needing to catch up on a few things I was behind on. Um, I'm not gonna upload the first two wars just because they were pretty boring, just Ghost and CGR wars. I did have one fight where I clutched it out, but it was just a Ghost versus Spam, and I just played poorly, so it got a little bit dicey. Um, but yeah, anyway, for this third war, I had a pretty big Doom war, and I had some fights that I thought were worth posting here. So first up, we just have a 2 Killmonger. This fight's pretty easy. You just, um, kind of accept a little bit of chip damage, accept, a little bit of a slower fight. Just try and keep his power low for the reverbs. The reverb should not have any danger of actually killing you in this fight, and if it does, you just messed up really, really badly. There we eat an L2. But Killmonger cannot crit versus Doom, so he can't apply bleeds, and that is why this fight is so safe, because it is basically impossible to die to this fight other than just completely messing up reverb. And yeah, we get our L3 off now, and we're ready to just do a bunch of damage, and the fight will end pretty quickly. And yeah. This fight, I hate the L2, but as you can see, it still goes perfectly fine. And yeah, this war was a really fun one for me, getting to go back to a classic 9-fight Doom war. It's been a while since I've actually had, like, an all-Doom big war. Normally I've been recently doing, like, Doom and Nick Fury big wars, Doom and Reed, Doom and Diablo, stuff like that, where it's kind of like half Doom and half other stuff. So this was nice to just get a full 9-fight Doom war, since Doom is definitely the champ I'm most confident with. Definitely makes me way less nervy about my fights, so I'm not, so nervous. Even if some of these fights are, technically still hard fights, Doom just gives me so much confidence that I'm, not really worried about them at all. And yeah. I finished this war in the first 2 hours. I was going down a lane with my buddy Bean. So that was fun to just get an early finish. It helps when you're getting quite busy. The early finishes this BG has really helps out. So yeah, that was quite nice. And yeah, this Attuma fight, basically nothing. Just kind of build up to our L3. Apply the shocks and whatnot, and Attuma will die pretty quickly. And yeah. At this point, the fight's basically over. And yeah. So, next up, we're going to have a Node 19 Mojo. And for this Mojo, the main thing is just, if you do not have a House of X pre-fight, I think you pretty much really want to turn Dex off here. And if you turn Dex off, the fight is basically nothing, because if you don't gain buffs against Mojo, there's no real worry, and this fight is way too quick for him to ever get the 5 prompts. So yeah, just turn Dex off, or apply a House of X pre-fight, and either of those in this fight will be pretty easy. And as you can see, like, Doom's doing really good damage just from his combos and everything. We're just gonna try and build to our O3 whatever way we can, and yeah, just once we get to our L3, the fight will pretty much be over. I believe our L3 doesn't quite end it, and then I think we go to an L2 after our L3. Could be wrong. But yeah, L3 will do a bunch of damage. He's already very low from before the L3, so, At that point, the fight is basically just over. We throw our L1, and yeah, we throw our L2 after this, and the fight just ends. And yeah, pretty basic Doom fight, but, a fight that can go wrong with other counters, so getting it in with Doom is always nice. And yeah, then we've got Doom versus Maw on 23. So this was the fight that was probably the hardest fight this war, but I wasn't too worried about it. The main thing is you just don't want to mess up Bubble Shield and have to go for an L2 Dex. That's really the only way you could die here with Doom, just because he's so tanky. You don't have to worry about eating a combo from the root. Only thing you have to worry about is just not eating an L2, and yeah, Bubble Shield is the main way that could potentially happen, which is why it's placed here. Maw hits so weak that the root doesn't really matter. It's just Power Shield and the it's just Power Shield and Power Focus and Bubble Shield. I mean, and that can make Maw's L2 very dangerous, which is usually how you see that's here. People will eat a Maw L2 with someone like Torg or something, and just get melted. So instead, we're going for a counter that just has a very hard time ever eating an L2, because the power control helps a lot, and Doom is Doom. So the other parts of this fight you don't really have to stress about. So when basically the only part of the fight you're stressing about is not eating the L2, it makes it a lot easier to entirely focus on that when you're using a counter like Doom. Because Doom doesn't have to worry about the rest of this fight. It's very easy to avoid the miss. The root doesn't matter if you eat combos from the root, it just doesn't matter at all. And yeah, you just only have to worry about that L2. And yeah, I think Doom's actually a really good option here, just because, you literally only have to worry about the one thing, and when you only have one worry, fights tend to be a lot more controlled. Yeah. Next up, we have this Nova on 26. Yeah, I've done this a couple times now. This was definitely the cleanest. I mean, I've done this one time now. This season, I did it earlier in the season during my Ghost War. I used Doom for it again, of course. The last time I did this, I messed it up a little bit, but I only ended up losing like 16% health, because Doom is just dumb. So no matter how bad you mess this fight up, it is pretty much impossible to die. It would be very, very shocking if you managed to die here with Doom, especially if you're, using power bags and everything as you should. The fight is just so quick, and Nova cannot deal any damage to Doom. So yeah, super safe matchup. Because Doom's just Doom. So even if the tactic is kind of stopping him, even if it's a hazard shift bleed node, even if it's whatever, Doom is Doom, and he's still going to work. And he's still going to be ridiculously safe because it's Doom. And yeah. Pretty easy fight overall, just get your L3s, and yeah. If you understand Nova's kit, you can use his kit to take advantage of Mystic Dispersion to get the first L3 easier like I did there. Yeah, next up we have a Hulkling. We have an invuln for this, of course, because, it's Hulkling. And we don't have any power control, we don't have any nullifies, so the chances of eating an L3 here are pretty high, especially if you're trying to end this fight quickly, which I would recommend just popping an invuln and trying to end the fight quickly, because slow fights against Hulkling are how Hulkling really gets dangerous, when you're taking a long time. So instead, just using an invuln and eating the L3, not only will it make the fight so much quicker, but quicker fights against Hulkling are just inherently safer, because it doesn't give much of a chance for Hulkling's abilities to start skyrocketing, for him to start getting the unblockable, to start cornering you or anything. And yeah. I do actually quite like fighting Hulkling with this tactic right now. I find it a little bit more reliable than it would normally be fighting Hulkling with Doom, just because there's no chance of you nullifying the indestructible and having a long indestructible that you have to worry about, which is really nice. And yeah. Here, I probably should have thrown my L2. I don't really know why I went for another L3. Kind of dumb. Elongated the fight a little bit further, which, yeah, again, just kind of dumb. No reason for me to do this. If I throw the L2, I'm probably going to get another L2 back, and then I will just end the fight. So, yeah, this was just entirely dumb. But it's fine. Hulkling decides not to throw his L3 for whatever reason, and we are just comboing into an L2. And yeah, we end the fight right there. And yeah, next up we have a Kingpin on 43. So Kingpin on 43, the strat is to just bait heavies, and then you get your L3, and the fight is basically over once you get your L3. And you do want to do a heavy knockdown before your L3, so you get full damage for power backs and everything. And yeah, you're going to take a bit of block damage here, because Kingpin tends to do quite big block damage, but it's not a big deal, and yeah, you can see we're already at our L3. 20 seconds in, and this fight is basically already won at this point. And yeah, by the time Kingpin actually ends up going unblockable from the node, the fight is basically already over, which is why this is such a safe option. You can see here, I think this L2 is the first time he actually goes unblockable in this fight. Wait, not even at the L2, after the L2, which is ridiculous. And yeah, like I never even had to bait a special while he was unblockable or anything. Just very, very safe counter. And yeah, Doom versus Doom on 47. I'm doing this because I wanted to use Reed pre-fights on an earlier fight, so instead of using Reed for this Doom, and, not getting those Reed pre-fights on earlier fights, I just decided, I'm just going to use Doom. And yeah, it's a pretty easy Doom fight. Rich Get Richer is going to help you more than anything, and we do have a Reed pre-fight here. We are going to be able to stagger the buffs from this node. And yeah, basically, just don't need an L2, don't need an L3, and you'll be fine. Keep the Petrify up if possible, because it'll make it even safer. And yeah, I used an advanced power boost, probably not necessary, but I decided to pop it anyway. And yeah, due to Rich Get Richer and Mystic Power Backs, you are going to get 2 L2s very, very quickly at this point. And yeah, you can see we kept him just under 2 bars to make sure that we would stay in control of Rich Get Richer, and yeah. He ends up dexing the first bit of my L2, which removes control of Rich Get Richer, but by that time he's already dead, so it's all good. And yeah, next up is Korg on 51. This fight is just throw your L3s until Korg dies. Now, this fight is one that, had gotten some worries before just because, tactic and conflictor combining usually gives a lot of power gain, means they're going to eat a lot of L3s. But since Korg is Shock Immune, you don't have to worry about Doom Shock applying and giving any power gain. And that means you keep complete control here. You are going to take more block damage than usual because you want to feed him all these prowess. It's going to feed MD more, going to make it easier to just constantly throw L3s. And it's worth the block damage to give you all that extra control. So yeah. This fight overall, not too hard, it's just a little bit of a longer one. As far as better counters go, Omega is definitely the best counter here, but Omega was banned this war. And then after Omega, I think Doom is the best. I have seen it done with Chavez from my buddy Na. He did it very well with Chavez, but Doom is of course safer because it's Doom and he's the Dom champ. And APOC would also probably work well here. And yeah, but I'm just gonna use Doom. And yeah, that's all for this war. We're just gonna do a couple more L3s. I think one more L3 and then the fight's over. But yeah, that's all for this war. Thank you guys, and thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting me. Sorry for not uploading much content recently. I've been very busy and behind on a few things, but trying to get back to it as much as I can. And yeah, thank you to my Patreon supporters, Mega, Senior Dunny, OG Highlight, Mikey, and MCOC Noob. The support is much appreciated. And yeah, take care, guys.